Good afternoon. It's time for Phonics. We are in Unit 2 now, and we are on day 4, Lesson 4 of Unit 2. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can look at the slideshow. All right, so we are on Unit 2, Lesson 4. So what I need you to do first is get out your, oops, not that one. There it is. I misplaced it. Get out your phonics journal, please. And we need to be on page 25 today. And we're going to do it a little bit differently than we have been doing in the past. I'm going to show you the first one that I want you to do, okay? We're going to draw boxes for the sounds that we hear. So the first sound that I hear in the first word, which is met, I hear the sound and we've been doing this a lot lately where we see how many sounds we hear. We listen to the sounds that we hear. And in the first word, met, I hear at. I hear 3 sounds. So I'm going to draw a box with 3 sections in it. Because I hear 3 sounds. What's the first sound I hear? That's an M. What's the second sound I hear? Eh, eh, eh. That's an E. And the third sound I hear, et. That is a T. So I put one sound in each box. Et, met. Okay. But we're going to change the sound in the middle. We're going to change it from to E. So let's think about it. If I change it from to E, I still have eat. I still have 3 sounds. So I need to draw another box with 3 sections. Okay. I still have 3 sounds. Eat. I still hear an M at the beginning. I still hear it at the end. Okay. Now I got to figure out what's in the middle. It says E. What letters do I know that say E? Well, obviously it's an E. But look, if I just put one E, that looks the same thing. That can't be right. This says met. This is supposed to say meat. What can I do to make it say E? I only have 3 sounds. E. I could put a silent E at the end because I know that the silent E makes it say E. But would that look right? METE? I don't think that would look right. I think I'm going to put another E in that box. And now it says meet. Like I want to meet Mickey Mouse. Okay. So you're going to draw boxes for each sound that you hear. Okay. So our first one was, we changed it from met to meet. Our second word that we're going to do today is the word head. Head. How many sounds do I hear? Ed. Ed. So I'm going to draw another box with 3 parts. Okay. What do you hear first? I hear an H first. Ed. That's an E. Ed. I hear a D. Okay, now Here's the sounds I hear. Ed. Now, just because I know how to spell it, I'm going to write it correctly underneath. It's H-E-A-D, but the sounds you hear are ed. Good. But we're going to change the ed part. We're going to take it off, and we're going to make it say ill, ill, ill. I still hear 3 sounds. So I'm going to draw another box with 3 sections. I still hear at the beginning, so I know it's still an H. Eh, eh, eh. Ill. Well, I know the word ill. It starts with an I. And I know that I hear an ol at the end. Ill. Ill. But what have we learned about when you have a short vowel sound and it ends with an L? What are you supposed to do to that? We have to double it. So I know the proper way to spell the word is with 2 L's. Ill. Ill. Okay, so we went from head to hill. Good. So our next word is the word plot. Plot. I hear 4 sounds that time. Plot. So I'm going to draw a box. This time it's got to have 4 squares in the box. Okay. I got 4 squares in my box. I hear plot. So I hear p at the beginning. I know that's a P. Pol. That's an L. Plot. I hear O and a T. So I hear lot. Plot. Plot. Good. This time though, we're going to take away the P sound. We're going to take off that P. So if I take off the P sound, what's my new word going to be? Lot. I hear 3 sounds. Lot. Lot. I hear 3 sounds, so I need 3 boxes. I hear L, L, O, T. Lot. Lot. All right, so I did 3 examples for you. The next 3 you're going to do in your book, right? All right, so we went from plot to lot. All right, the next one is the word mend. Mend. M-end. M-end. Okay, so draw your box. Think about the sounds you hear in the word m-end. And do your letters in the boxes, and we'll see how you did. Okay, so I hear 4 sounds. So I drew a box with 4 squares. And the word mend, the first sound I hear is an M. And I hear an I, and I hear an N, mend, mend. So here's the sounds I hear. And now, just because I know how to spell it, I'm going to spell it correctly underneath it. And it does sound like an I, but it's actually an E. End. It's like when you say the end, there's the end right there. End. Good. So we're going to take off the D part. So our new word is just going to be N. So I hear 3 sounds. N. N. I hear M still. And I hear an N at the end. And because I know that I spelt mend with an E, even though it sounds like an I. I'm going to spell it correctly. M-N. It sounds like an I. M-N. But it's spelled with an E. M-N. So we went from mend to men. All right, our next word is the word lad. Lad. L-ad. L-ad. I hear 3 sounds. All right, so you're going to draw your box and think about the sounds you hear in l-ad. Draw those in your box. So the first sound I hear in the word lad is the letter L. I hear l, a. Oh no, that's an A. L, a, d, d, d. So that is a E. So I hear l, ad, lad. Good. So this time we're going to take the word lad and we're going to get rid of the ah part and make it say eh, l, id, l, id. I still hear 3 sounds, so I'm going to draw my box. Go ahead and draw your box on your page. Think about the sounds you hear. L, id, l, id. So in my first box, I still hear the L, the L. And in the last box, I still hear the D, D in the lid. But in the middle, that's where it changes. L, eh, eh, eh. I know that is an I. So my new word is lid. L, id, lid. Good job. So we went from lad to lid. Okay. And our next word is the word bent. B-ent. B-ent. So I hear 4 sounds. So go ahead and draw your box with 4 squares. And think about the sounds you hear in the word bent. So I hear the first sound is b, b, b. So I know that's a B. B, in, b, eh, eh, eh. I hear an I. B, in, that's an N. B, in, t, 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 and that's a T. So here's the sounds I hear. B, in, b, in. Okay. But because I know how to spell it, I'm going to show you how to spell it correctly. It sounds like an I, but it's actually an E. Bent. Good. All right. And so we're going to change it from bent to ben. Ben. B-en. B-en. How many sounds do you hear now? And this is not like the name Ben. Like this is, where have you been? That kind of Ben. I hear 3 sounds. B-en. Okay. I still hear the B at the beginning. And this time at the end, I hear n, b, n, n. Okay. It still sounds like an I. Okay. It still sounds to me like an I. B, n. But this is the word bin, like a recycle bin or a trash bin or a toy bin. Okay. That's how you spell that word. The word that I used was, where have you been? Or she's been in the store. And I know that the way that you spell that word is not what it looks like at all. That's not how it sounds. It looks like it would say bean, but it doesn't. It's been. So we went from bent to bin. All right, nice job, guys. Okay, so go ahead and put your phonics journal away. All done with that. So next, we're going to do a little bit differently today, okay? So what I need you guys to do is I'm going to say a word. You're going to repeat it after me. And I'm going to tell you a sentence that the word is in. We need to imagine that the word is coming out of your mouth like on a curve, okay? I need you to do the curve with me. I need you guys to do that for me, please. So the first sentence is, get my paper. It is, she was asked to spy on her brother to see what he was doing. Let's all say that word together. Spy. Remember, it's coming out of your mouth on a curve. Spy. All right, so the word spy, if we break it apart, we have sp is the blend, the initial blend, and it says I at the end. Sp I. Good. Okay. So spy is the word on the curve. Our next sentence is sit in the grass outside. The word grass is our word on the curve. So if we break that apart, what is our blend? Grrr, grass, grass. Grass is the word on the curve. Our next sentence is, I get to fly in an airplane. Fly. And if we break that apart, the word fly, the blend is foo. And then the sound after that is I fly. Good job. Okay. Those are the only ones we're doing today. So our learning targets for today are, I can review contractions and tricky words. I can understand the purpose of quotation marks, and I can ask and answer questions about key details in the story, The Jumping Frog. So we're going to review some contractions. We're going to play a contraction matching game. You guys ready? So remember, the contractions are two words combined to make a new word with an apostrophe, which is signaling the letters that are left out of a word. So let's match the contractions to the two words that make up the contraction. All right, so we have the contraction I'm, can't, and let's. And it needs to match one of these. We have the words let us, cannot, and I am. So I'm, which one do you think that is? Is it a contraction for let us? Is it a contraction for cannot? Or is it a contraction for I am? Which one do you think? It is a contraction for I am. And look, the apostrophe takes the place of the A. We have the word can't, and it's going to match the word cannot. The apostrophe takes the place of the N and the O. And then we have the word let's, and the apostrophe takes the place of the U. So I'm, I am, can't, cannot, let's, let us. All right, so we have the word whose, that's, and would've. And the two words are would have, that is, or that has, and who is, or who has. So what do you think the word whose goes with? It goes with who is or who has. What about the word that's? That is or that has. And the word would've goes with would have. Very good. Whose is who is or who has. That's that is or that has, and would have goes with would have. All right, we have weave, heal, didn't, and couldn't. Could not, did not, we have, and he will. What do you think? What does weave go with? We have. Heal goes with he will. Didn't goes with did not. And couldn't goes with could not. Good. So we've got weave, we have. Heal, he will. Didn't, did not. And couldn't, could not. All right. So our tricky words for today are the words all and who. All. I want to read all the books. So the part about this word that is expected is the ol part. The two L's we know together say ol. But the tricky part is the A because it doesn't say ah and it doesn't say A. It says all, like AW says all. So that is the word all. The next word is the word who. Who was the first person to walk on the moon? His name was Neil Armstrong. The expected part is the part. The WH says, okay? The tricky part is the ooh, ooh. The O says ooh in this word. And usually that's two O's together. So that's the tricky part. So that is the word who. So we have all and who. Okay. So there are special punctuation marks that we use when writing to show a person is speaking. This type of punctuation is called quotation marks. You guys may have heard of them called talking marks, but we're in second grade now. We actually use the real word, quotation marks. So so quotation mark shows that people are talking. And when you're reading a story and two people are talking, that is called dialogue or a conversation. It's called dialogue or a conversation when people are talking in a story. All right, so if you were with me, I would have a student come to the front of the classroom to do this, but because I don't have a student with me right now, I'm going to do it for you. So if you were with me, I would ask you what you like to eat. I'm just going to use Caitlin as an example because she's my daughter. So I would say, Caitlin, what do you like to eat? And she would say, I like to eat candy. Okay, so then I would write, I like to eat candy. But if I want to show that Caitlin said it, I have to do something different. When you guys see a cartoon, do you ever see these things? These are called speech bubbles. This shows that someone is talking in it, like a cartoon or a comic strip or a comic book. They're used to show the words that a person says or has said. So Caitlin said, I like to eat candy. There is a comma right here. You see that comma? It's yellow. That tells us to pause. The comma comes before the quotation marks. Caitlin said, I like to eat candy. And the quotation marks, see them here? Hold on, let me get my pointer. See them here and here? Tell us exactly what Caitlin said. So Caitlin said, I like to eat candy. And then there's the end punctuation. She said it, and then it needs to be a period. So it goes inside the quotation marks because it's ending what she said, okay? So Caitlin said, I like to eat candy. We had to capitalize that I because it is the first word of a sentence. And it is the first word inside a quotation mark. They have to be capitalized. And also it's the word I. So quotation marks show the reader exactly what a person has said during conversation or during dialogue. So I'm going to, we're going to look at these little phrases here. Jane said, I can run. Where are those quotation marks going to go? They're going to go here and here after the period. So we have a comma here before the quotations, and then we have a capital letter, and then we have quotation marks after the period. All right, so here's the next one. Frank said, we like cake. All right, so I want you to get out your phonics journal. Get out your phonics journal. Turn to the next page. Page 26, I believe. Yep, we're on page 26. I want you to write that sentence. Frank said, we like cake. And I want you to put the quotations in the correct place. So you can go ahead and pause the video and write your sentence and then unpause when you are done, and we'll check it. Okay, so here's the sentence. It should say, Frank said, capitalize the F in Frank. Frank said, there's your comma, before the quotation marks. We like cake. The we has to be capital because it's the first word inside the quotation marks. And we have an exclamation mark. I mean, it doesn't have to be an exclamation mark. I thought, it's, you like cake. Why would you not be excited about that? And then you have the quotation marks after the punctuation. Okay, so your sentence should look like that. All right, our next sentence. James said, let's go skating. Okay, so I want you to pause your video, write that sentence. Make sure you put your quotation marks in the correct place. And then you can unpause the video when you are ready to check your work. Okay, so here's how your sentence should look. James should be capitalized. It's somebody's name, and it's the first word of a sentence. James said, there's your comma to pause, before the quotation marks. The L in let's needs to be capital because it's the first word inside quotations. And look, here's one of those contractions. Make sure you have your apostrophe. Let's go skating. And I think that sounds fun. So an exclamation point would be completely acceptable. And then the quotation marks go after the exclamation point. All right, one more. Pete said, do you like frogs? So pause your video, write your sentence, and then play so you can check it. Okay, so here we go. Pete needs to be capitalized. It's someone's name. Pete said, comma, quotation marks, capital D, do you like frogs? Question mark, quotation marks. All right, make sure you have your sentences correct. And then you can hit play. All right, so we are going to work on this worksheet together. I'm going to open it up for you so you can see it. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this together, okay? So Jane said, I like to eat candy. I'm going to make a text box, okay? All right, so it's already got the capital J for Jane, and it's got the comma after said. What comes next? If I'm showing what Jane specifically said, I need to put quotation marks, and then I need to type exactly what she said. I like to eat candy. Oops, spelled that wrong. and then a period. And what comes after my period to end her quotation? Quotation marks. Good. Okay. Dad said bedtime is at 9. Well, Dad said, comma, what comes next? Quotation marks. Bedtime is at 9, period. And then your quotations again, okay? So we have our comma here, quotation marks, capital B, period, quotation marks again. Mike said the sun is shining. So Mike said, what did Mike say? I need to put my quotations, capitalize the word the sun is shining, period, and quotation marks to end the quote. Jane asked, can't I sit up? So Jane asked, comma, quotation marks, capital C-A-N, and that's an apostrophe T because it's a contraction. Can't I sit up? Question mark, quotations to show that she ended her sentence. All right. Mike asked, can you tell a fun tale? So Mike asked, comma, quotation marks to show that he's saying something. Capital C, can you tell a fun tale? Oops. Question mark, and then my quotations. Jane said, I don't like beets. Jane said, comma, quotation marks, capital I, D-O-N apostrophe T, because that is a contraction. I don't like beets, period, quotation marks. Do you guys understand the quotation marks go after the comma and after the punctuation at the end? I'm going to go ahead and delete these. Okay, so it's time to wiggle, guys. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. All right, wiggle. It says shake your legs, shake your legs, shake them, shake them, shake them. Shake your legs, shake your legs. All right, now shake a fist, shake a fist. Okay, so lick your lips. Alrighty, now drive a truck. Driving a big truck. They burr, burr. All right, good wiggling. So our new story today is called The Jumping Frog. And today's story is the first part of a two-part story. So this story is an example of another type of fiction called a trickster tale. A trickster tale is a story about characters who outsmart larger, stronger characters. It's kind of like an Aesop's fable, like the tortoise and the hare. I got something in my eye, guys. Ugh. Hold on. Okay. So before we read our story, we're going to go over some important information. Some important terms like a character. The characters are the people or the animals that are in the story. The setting is where the story takes place. And the plot includes the problem and the events in the story that help solve the problem. So we're going to review some new spellings for the story. So we have the word stream. The E and the A say E, stream. And we have compete. Look, this says E, but this also says E because we have an E with the consonant and another E. So they both say the long vowel sound E. And then we have the word problem. So we have stream, compete, and problem. And then we have the word west, the vocabulary word west. And long ago, a couple of hundred years ago, the part of the United States that's like past the Mississippi River, that was all called the Wild West because it was unsettled other than just the Native Americans that were there. So you're going to pay special attention whenever you see quotation marks in our story today. Paying attention to quotation marks will help you understand that the two main characters, Big Jim and Pete, are speaking in a dialogue or in a conversation. So you're going to try using different voices for the characters when you see quotation marks. So we're not going to do this part because we're all together. So here is the story, The Jumping Frog. So here's the cover of our new book. And here is the table of contents. So if I'm going to read The Jumping Frog, what chapter is The Jumping Frog? Chapter 3. And if I follow my dots, I see that it starts on page 16. Good. The Jumping Frog. Dad, Mike said, you said we could have a fun bedtime tale this time. Have you got one that's fun? Yes, said his dad. I've got one I think you will like. It's a tale my dad used to like to tell. It takes place in the West a long time back in the past. The name of the tale is The Jumping Frog. Once there was a man named Big Jim who had a frog. Big Jim held the frog up and made a speech. This here's the best jumping frog in the land, he said. This frog has speed. It can jump 3 feet at once. You think your frog can jump? I bet he can't jump like my frog. In fact, I got $10 says there's not a frog in the land can jump as fast as this frog. This frog hops like the wind. This frog, well, Big Jim would have kept on bragging, but just then a man in a black vest got up and spoke. My name is Pete. I'm not from here, said the man, and I do not have a frog. But if I did, I would take the bet and race your frog. Well, shucks, said Big Jim. That's not a problem. Here, take my frog. I'll run down to the stream and catch you a frog so we can each have a frog to compete in the race. Big Jim handed his frog to Pete. Then he ran off to the stream. Pete's awfully tiny. Mike's dad was not finished telling the tale, but Mike had drifted off to sleep. He gave Mike a kiss and hoped he would have sweet dreams. Okay, so let's look at worksheet 2 that you're going to do. Okay, you're going to do this tonight on your own. Guys, listen, it's very important. Each question is worth 2 points. Okay, the first point is if you get the right answer. The second point is if you tell me what page number you got the answer from. If you don't tell me the page number, you automatically lose 1 out of your 2 points. Okay, you actually need to do what I asked you to do. Answer the question, tell me what page you found the answer on. So you're going to answer these questions tonight on your own. It's worth 14 points. And it is in the Google Classroom already loaded for you. Right here, worksheet 4.2. Okay, here's the story, The Jumping Frog, and here's the worksheet. All right, so here are some questions. Who are the two main characters in the story so far? And I'm not talking about Mike and his dad. Who are the two main characters in the story so far? We have Big Jim and we have Pete. Good. So what is the setting? What do you think the setting is in the story? Do we need to go back and look at the story? Let's go back and look at the story. Here we go. Let's see if it tells us. It is in the, takes place in the West, a long time back in the past. So the setting is in the West, a long time in the past. So what are the problem and events or the plot in this story so far? Well, the problem is that Pete is going to race, but he doesn't have a frog. So Big Jim gives him his frog, and then he's going to go get another frog. Well, what does it mean to take a bet, guys? If someone says, I bet you can't jump 10 feet in the air, and you say, I'll take that bet, that means that you're going to try to succeed at that bet. You're going to try to succeed at what they're telling you that you can or cannot do. And why didn't Mike's dad finish the story? Because Mike fell asleep, right? He was asleep in the bed, so dad had to stop telling the story. All right, so we're not going to do this part. We don't need to worry about that. So our learning targets for today were, I can review contractions and tricky words. I can understand the purpose of quotation marks. And I can ask and answer questions about key details in the story, The Jumping Frog. So you guys did great today. Remember that you need to reread the story tonight, okay? And then answer the questions on worksheet 4.2. Make sure you tell me the answer and the page number that you found it on, okay? And then remember to study your spelling words. They are the same spelling words that we had before fall break, okay? So it's spelling list 4. The word yelled, yanked, slumped, limped, flopped, smiled, shrugged, liked, patted, and you, because we will have a spelling test on Thursday, I think Thursday. All right, so study your spelling words, reread the story again tonight, answer the questions on worksheet 4.2, and that will be it. And then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.